Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to the 78th episode of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. So this last weekend, we went to Lake Ouachita in Arkansas. And this is such a gorgeous lake. I mean, it's so clean and quiet, and you can't build homes directly on it, so it's also very private. And as I'm recording this, I mean, it's really just turning chilly, okay? So the last weekend was kind of cold and cloudy. And when we normally visit this lake, it's hot, and we're enjoying the water, doing water things like skiing, swimming, and all that good stuff. But we started on a different experience this time. Since it was cold, we bundled up with our friends and took our cider and coffee in the morning for an early morning boat ride. And the steam was coming off the water because the water was a little warmer than the air. And literally no one was out but a fisherman here and there. It was absolutely perfect. When we did the same thing in the evenings too, but we changed our coffee for a glass of wine. Responsibly, of course, never worry. But same thing. I mean, there was no sunshine. It was just kind of cold and chilly. Now, you may be wondering why I'm telling you this story, but it had me thinking. You see, this lake is actually a 4-hour drive from us, and oftentimes we plan to come here. We're just praying for sun and warmth and hoping it isn't cloudy and cold. But you know what? This weekend, the clouds and the cold actually made it so cozy and just so perfect. I mean, we felt like we were in Boston or Maine. But you see, it was all our perspective. I mean, we expected it to be cloudy and cold, and the fact that it was just enhanced our time. It was totally different, but equally great. Had we been there in the summer and it was cloudy or cold, we may not have even gotten on the water. Who knows? We surely wouldn't have enjoyed it the same way we did. But why not? I mean, it's the same lake, same boat, probably the same friends, but we all had a different expectation. It's just so true that our thoughts create our reality. And as the world works, when we got back home and I started my work week, I had an interview with Edmund Lohman for my Wednesday Wisdom. And this very topic came up. I mean, he framed it in a different way, though. It's basically the same idea as your thoughts create your reality, but he worded it differently. So he said, event plus reaction equals outcome, as opposed to event equals outcome. So now, hear me out. I mean, I actually had to write it down to make sense of it. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a scenario like, my dog chewed my rug, which ruined my day. So let me ask you a question. If you hadn't been home and you didn't know that your dog chewed your rug, would it still have ruined your day? Well, no, because you didn't know it happened. But that doesn't change the fact that your dog chewed your rug. So it's not the event of your dog chewing your rug that ruined your day. It's your thoughts about your dog chewing your rug that ruined your day. Does that make sense? And you can replace this with any event. I mean, it's always our thoughts that create our outcome. Had we been going into last weekend with the same expectation of sunshine and warmth, we probably would have been disappointed. But instead, we went into it not really caring one way or the other. I mean, we were glad to get away, to be with friends, and the cloudy weather just kind of made it better. So how many things happen during our week that we make worse with our reaction? How many of our problems could be so much less dramatic if we looked at everything with an awareness of how our reaction affects it? And sometimes I know this is easier than others. I mean, sometimes things happen and they seem like it's just the worst timing or the worst thing that could happen. I mean, how do you manage those situations with your thoughts? Well, earlier in the year, we had booked a nice condo in Florida, right on the beach. I mean, we were taking family, and so we booked it very early because we had family flying in from California and driving from other parts of the country as well. Well, 30 days before we were supposed to leave, the owner emailed my husband and said, because of COVID, we're canceling all rentals for the next several months, so we're sending your money back. Now look, at this time, there weren't any more lockdowns in Florida, and it was wide open, so it really didn't make a lot of sense to us. We were kind of in shock because it's not easy to get a 4-bedroom place this late in the game. Well, after sitting in kind of a daze, I looked at my husband and I said, you know what? Something better is waiting for us. There's a reason this happened. Just wait and see. The next thing I know, he said, hey, remember the house that we originally really wanted and loved? It was still available and I offered a lower price. And since it's late in the game, she accepted. Oh, and by the way, it had an extra bed and bath, so we were able to invite another couple that we love, and they just add so much joy to our time. So you see, we could have gotten mad and argued with the owner and tried to force something, or we could have been upset for days, but instead we just let it go, and we knew something better was waiting for us. We also took action as well by searching for another place. And look, this new house was our first choice, but it was way more than we wanted to spend, so we passed it up. And then we ended up in there anyway. And the owner was super happy to have it rented, and we were super happy to have a much better place for a great price where we could share it with even more people that we love. So having an attitude that things are always working out for you, even when it seems like they may not be, is a really great way to live. And that's a great attitude to have. And it's also a very learnable thing. This is kind of timely information, and I did do it on purpose because as I'm recording this, it's a big moment for America. It's election week, and come Tuesday, we'll either be electing a new president or we will be re-electing our current president. Either way, there's going to be strong emotions on each side. This isn't something, though, that we can control individually. We can vote, and then it's out of our hands. And I know a lot of people are having a lot of anxiety about it. And is there a way, though, that you can help yourself be okay no matter what the outcome is? And I know that may seem hard to do. I choose to believe that either way, America will be okay. And we'll grow from whatever the result is. There's a natural ebb and flow, and there are checks and balances in place. So the statement, though, event plus reaction equals outcome, is extremely relevant in this case. And this could be replaced with any event. You might be listening to this at a different time and going through some other event that is giving you anxiety. It's going to be your reaction to the event that determines your outcome. That's how it goes. So if you're having an especially hard time with something, let me give you a little bit of a tip. Notice the words you use to describe how you may feel. Words are really powerful when it comes to how we feel. Can you maybe soften them? For instance, if you're saying to yourself and anyone that will listen, which we do sometimes, that it's going to be catastrophic if this happens, or I'm going to be devastated if this happens, you really are setting yourself up for the possibility of a really bad time. So instead of these strong words, can you maybe replace them with something like this? Like, I will be disappointed if this event doesn't go my way, but it won't be the end of the world. And I'm going to keep doing what I believe is right, and therefore my world is going to be okay no matter what happens. You have got to give yourself support. You have to tell your brain what to do. If something doesn't go your way or if something bad happens, train yourself to trust yourself. Train your brain to choose the emotions you want to have rather than letting it do what it will do if you let it. And that is to be as dramatic as possible and create the worst case scenario and basically drive you crazy. We've all been there, right? But I want you to remember, you do control your brain, and you can control your brain by being very aware of the thoughts and the words that you use. And my challenge to you this week is to recognize that what meaning you assign to events has everything to do with the outcome. And this applies to anything that happens. If you're in a traffic jam, you can get angry and make it worse, or you can turn on a great podcast or happy music and choose to decide to make the best of it. If your dog chews your rug, maybe you wanted a new rug anyway, or you just flipped the rug and changed the layout of your furniture, which makes you love the room more. If the election doesn't go your way, maybe it drives you to talk to someone about your anxiety and you end up solving some long-addressed issues that makes you an all-around happier person. And I know that may seem like a stretch, but giving ourselves permission to feel better or to feel okay, regardless of what is going on, is crucial to our overall happiness. Things are not always going to go our way, but we can always grow from it, or we can gain something from it if you ask the right question. And that question is, how can this work out in my favor? Just remember, ask yourself that. How can this work out in my favor? And that is how the world works, by the way. I mean, if you believe it's working for you, it is. If you believe it's working against you, then unfortunately it is. So which would you rather have? So think about it and maybe listen to this a few times, and I'm sure I will get a few emails, but I want to hear from you. So email me at heidi@heididawson.com if you have any questions. And in the meantime, soften your words, be aware of the meaning you're assigning to the events of your life, and most of all, don't forget to decide in advance to have a great week, regardless of what's going on. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.